Dear friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Nitesh Goyal from DAV College, Chandigarh. I am going to present before you the 15th module titled Survey Methods under the paper Tourism and Hospitality Research. This module will cover the following topics: the introduction, importance of survey methods in research methodology, the types of survey, classification of surveys, popular survey techniques, a comparison of common modes of surveys, ethics in surveys, and summary. Dear friends, after the completion of this module, you will be able to apprehend the meaning of survey, identify the survey types, be able to undertake various surveys. First of all, friends, I would like to give you a brief introduction about the topic. In the year 1973, defines the survey as the study that includes the study of large as well as small population being selected from between the samples chosen to find out the congruity between the sociological as well as the psychological variables. It is a method of obtaining information from the whole universe by making the use of various sampling techniques. These are basically economical as well as authentic means of obtaining information from a large association of people. To examine one's opinion, attitudes, and perceptions of respondents, survey is the most desired means of collecting data. Surveys can be broadly classified into: first, the descriptive surveys. These are used to establish the relationships between variables, and the sample surveys. It represents a sample from among the target population depending on our objective of the study. In this method, information is obtained by asking people orally or in written form or even in digital form in the manner such as: what do they think, what do they believe in, what do they expect, what do they feel, what they have done. One of the most important dimensions of research is the survey research, the scope of which includes the measurement procedures that involves asking questions to the respondents. The various types of surveys include the questionnaires, the interviews. The authenticity and the degree of reliability of selecting the best suitable survey method depends on the relevant situation. As once we have selected the type of survey method, after doing the careful analysis, one needs to give a practical shape to the survey itself. Now, let's take the importance of survey methods in research methodology. The essence of survey method by questioning individuals on certain important issues and then describing their responses. Survey method in case of primary data collection is used to test various concepts, reflect attitude of people, establish the level of customer satisfaction, and conduct segmentation research. Survey method pursues two main purposes. First, describing certain characteristics of population. Second, testing hypotheses so as to establish the nature of relationships within a population. Now, we come on to the advantages, disadvantages of the different primary data collection methods like questionnaires. First of all, the purpose. The purpose of the questionnaires is conducted in order to obtain large amount of information in a short period of time. The advantages of this method are: anonymity of the person is maintained. Also, it is cheaper than most of the other primary data collection methods. Under this method, one is able to gather large amount of data. Now, one of the main disadvantages of the questionnaire method is difficulty of maintaining greater depth for carrying out the research activity. The second technique is the interviews. The purpose of conducting interviews is to get notice of people's emotions and experiences and be able to explore the issues with a greater focus. The advantages of interviews are: there is a possibility to direct the process of data collection. Also, there is a possibility to collect the specific type of information required. The two main drawbacks of the interviews are: first, a lot of time, effort and money all are required in a great quantity. Secondly, potential for interviewee being biased. The third technique is the documentation review. It is conducted in order to study various issues that have been developed over a specific period of time. Under this method, it is possible to retrieve information in detailed manner. However, various challenges are associated with documentation as well as the inflexibility involved in the research process. Now, let's take on the types of survey. Surveys as a method of data collection help in improving the scientific base. Various professionals conduct surveys to study various matters, such as study about the income and expenditure patterns of households, racial prejudices, etc. Mainly, there are two types of surveys. The kind of survey to be used depends on the purpose of the study under consideration. The first is the cross-sectional survey. Now, when the aim is to study the attitudes and practices, then this is the most relevant choice. Whereas, the second survey is the longitudinal survey. Here, when the purpose is to compare the deviations in the attitude and practices followed over time, then this kind of survey would be right choice. These two methods are detailed in later part of this module. Surveys are basically classified under two ways. On the basis of the instrumentation, it includes the questionnaire as well as the interview sampling techniques. The second basis is on the basis of time span involved. It includes both the cross-sectional and the longitudinal surveys. On the basis of instrumentation, it includes the use of either a questionnaire or an interview. So, let's take them one by one. The questionnaires. Questionnaire comprises of closed-ended questions followed by prerogative choices. Today, the questionnaires can be utilized in various survey methods. Questionnaire comprises of three kinds: self-administered, group-administered, third, the household drop-off. Out of the above three, the self-administered survey is the most widely used method of developing a questionnaire. Now, what are the advantages of it? It is suitable for asking closed-ended questions. However, under this case, level of researchers' understanding to respond to the answers is limited. The second is the interviews. Here, two parties are involved in an interview: the researcher as an interviewer and the respondent as an interviewee. There are various survey methods that use the interview technique. The various types of interviews are personal, telephonic, and nowadays online interviews are also being conducted. It provides better understanding of the questions to the respondents. However, much time consuming as the response rate of the respondents is very low. Now, on the basis of time span involved, these can be divided in two ways. Again, the cross-sectional as well as the longitudinal. Under the cross-sectional survey, information from a particular sample is drawn. It involves collection of the data at a particular point of time, which varies from 1 week to 6 months. If the questionnaire is used for the purpose of collecting the data, the respondents can be asked questions from all spheres of life of an individual. Secondly, the longitudinal survey. Here, the data is collected subject to variability. The two common types of longitudinal surveys are the cohort survey study. In this, a researcher identifies people of those interest groups belonging to the same category. This group of people doesn't necessarily engage in this on a yearly basis, but all the participants must fulfill the requirements of researchers' prime interests. Common cohorts that pertain to the area of interest of the researchers include people belonging to a particular generation who were born in the same time period, or those who work in the industries. The panel studies. In the panel studies, the same group of people do participate in the survey every time it is executed. The panel studies can be difficult as well as costly. When it is actually implemented, there is no doubt about the fact that the results can be quite powerful. One of the major lessons learned from this is being workaholic has a positive effect on young minds. As opposed to this, the impact of being workaholic, the performance levels of the adolescents, their transition, etc. increases confidence, improves educational abilities, thereby prepares them for achieving heights of success in the upcoming years. Without this, nobody comes to know about the positive impact that works can have on young minds. The trend survey. The purpose behind the execution of a trend survey is primarily not to study about the trends developed over a period of time. Researchers carrying out these wants to know about the people have changed the inclination. In this, same people do not provide answers to the research questions every year. Since here the interest is in knowing about the trends and not about the specific people. Till the researcher's sample represents the whole population, it is not necessary that the same people participate each time. Friends, let's now come to the classification of surveys. Survey means to scrutinize in an exhaustive manner. These are of many types such as personal and telephonic interviews, mail as well as online questionnaires. These can be divided into two categories: self-administered, investigator-administered. Under the self-administered method, commonly used way of collecting data is through the mail, and nowadays surveying through the web is gaining importance. As in this case, the respondent provides the answers to the questions in the questionnaire in the absence of any investigator. Investigator's supervisory method. Under this method, an investigator is required to perform the activities like the telephonic interviews, face-to-face interviews, etc. Taking out the relevant information from samples is often practiced. Now the classification on the basis of data collection, like in-person interviews. Obtaining the information personally may be the most popular manner of expecting cooperation from the respondents. It becomes very easy to understand and react to their queries as and when they face any kind of difficulty in understanding any question, or they feel reluctant to provide answers to any question. This method of conducting surveys proves to be useful when the need is to find out if the respondent is facing any kind of difficulty on answering the questions related to his personal lives, or if he is trying to respond in a socially desirable manner. Personal interviews happen to be more expensive than any other method of collecting data. The interviewers are required to be trained and increase their mobility. It is highly undesirable to send interviewers to risk-prone zones even though it may result in uneven distribution of data. Then we have the mailed questionnaires. Here, the people get time to evaluate their own responses by making use of one's own resources. The main advantage is there are no chance of asking or get clarification on any kind of information or doubt. Disadvantage: the mails can get completely destroyed sometimes due to sleet, rain or snow. If a mailed questionnaire is not received in time, it may go unnoticed. Hence, mailed questionnaires do not prove to be much effective in comparison to other methods of data collection. Next, we have the online questionnaires. It is most economical way to reach the large audiences, since not everyone is internet savvy or has an access to make the use of computers. Therefore, they are not much preferred over the other methods of data collection. These may look very easy to be made. In reality, they stand on an equal footing in terms of difficulty level of framing as the mailed questionnaires. The advantages are these can be stored and used every year and over a period of time by doing suitable editings, revisions from time to time. Also, the response rate on private networks are higher as compared to the online questionnaires than the mailed questionnaires. Also, respondents can respond at whatever time they feel convenient. As per the results of previous researches carried on, it is seen that response rate in case of online surveys are more as compared to the other modes of data collection. The disadvantages: it is very much possible to overlook an invitation to an online survey. People may just overlook it. Some suggestions: most importantly, it is very much necessary to see that the files are encrypted to avoid multiple submissions. The technical problems leads to wastage of the staff time. It is thus advisable to make use of an online survey. Whenever a questionnaire is received in mail, it has many benefits, such as it is possible to send the same questionnaire to many people, to which the respondents can respond at their convenience. Multiple copies can be sent to a large number of people at the same time. This method is cost effective. The disadvantages: under this method, the response rate is quite low. There is no way for the respondent to seek any kind of help if questions are vague. The web surveys: it is the most widely used method of data collection. In this, the questionnaire is uploaded on a website and the respondents are invited to fill them at their own convenience. The advantage is it is less expensive and the most economical method of data collection. The disadvantage is it is very difficult to check the reliability and the accuracy of the data collected. The telephonic interview: it is also one of the most widely used method of data collection. This method proves to be useful where time is a constraint. This method gives respondents a feeling of anonymous. This method gives the respondents a feeling of anonymousness. This method is cost efficient than the personal interviews. The disadvantage is the accessibility of people is less in this method, as not everyone has an access to phones even this technical age. However, less number of interviewers are required to conduct the telephonic interviews. Also, interviewer calling from the same location can clarify questions with each other. It is difficult to establish a rapport and trust on the telephone, as it becomes really impossible to gain sympathy of the customers. The next is the face-to-face interview. This kind of interview takes place in a respondent's locality. This may become a necessity, especially when complex information is required to be collected. The advantage is it allows for an extensive data collection and detailed understanding. The body language and the facial expressions of the respondents can be better identified and understood. The interviewer can probe the interviewee to get all the answers to the questions. The time of the interview can be extended since the participant is strongly committed to participate. The disadvantage: the interviews are more time consuming to be conducted. Due to the involvement of both time and travel, this interview method can prove to be highly expensive. These kinds of interviews can result in biased responses also. As just said, it is costly method as the whole setup needs to be arranged. Now we come on to the group administered questionnaire. In this case, a sample is selected from the universe and to respond to a structured set of questionnaires. The advantage is one of the most convenient methods since a large number of people can be dealt at once. The responsiveness of the people is quite high in this case. If there is any kind of difficulty in understanding any question, clarity can be provided at any point of time. The disadvantage: the presence of investigator may make the respondents feel uncomfortable while answering the question. The figure before you depicts the classification of surveys based on survey interaction. In the survey interaction, one is person to person, while other is self-completion. There exists one more classification on the basis of interaction, which is computer assisted. Now we present before you some popular survey techniques. The primary data are collected during the course of carrying out the experiments during an experimental research. In case descriptive research needs to be done and execute surveys, whether a sample or a census survey. For this purpose, primary data can be obtained either through observation or being indirect communication with respondents in one form or the other. In other words, it can be stated that there are several methods of collecting primary data, especially in surveys and descriptive researches. Now, we compare the common modes of survey. The table here depicts the comparison of common modes of survey. There are generally three types of survey. Now, under face-to-face surveys, time consumed is high, whereas in case of telephone it is low, but in case of postal it is high. The manpower required in case of face-to-face it is high, in case of telephone it is medium, whereas in case of postal it is the least. Now the money involved: in case of face-to-face it is high, whereas in case of telephone and postal, in both cases it is low. The geographical coverage: in case face-to-face it is clustered, in case of telephones it is wide, and similarly wide in case of postal. Now, we differentiate and compare on the basis of the characteristics of the questionnaire. The sensitive topics in case of face-to-face are fair and good in case of both the telephone and the postal. The length of questionnaire: in case of face-to-face it can be long, in case of telephone it has to be medium, but in case of postal it has to be short. Now, when the complexity is concerned, it has complexity in case of face-to-face and telephone, but in case of postal it has to be simple. Use of open-ended questions: it is quite a good number of questions in case of face-to-face, and again quite a good number in case of telephone, but very less open-ended questions in case of the postal. Now, some of the aspects of interaction. Now, we enjoy a good rapport in case of face-to-face and telephonic interviews, but a moderate in case of the postals. Control of questions order: you have a control in case of face-to-face and telephonic questionnaires, but poor in case of the postals. The control of response situation: it is good in case of face-to-face and average in case of the telephonic, and very poor in case of the post. Now, on the parameters of quality, the interviewer effect, it is high in case of face-to-face, medium in case of the telephone, and low in case of the post. The response rate, it is high in case of face-to-face, medium in case of telephone, and low in case of post. The response bias, it is low in both the cases, the face-to-face and the telephone, but high in case of post. The quality of record, it is good in case of face-to-face and telephone, but average in case of the postal. The knowledge about refusals, that is whether you can know who has refused. It is good in case of face-to-face and average in case of postals, but poor in case of the telephone. Friends, let's take on some of the issues pertaining to ethics in survey. The integrity and confidentiality of the data supplied by the respondent. Various professional organizations dealing with the survey methods have to follow certain codes of ethics maintaining the survey integrity. Recommendations followed by the organizations to provide shield against are, as much as possible, only number codes should be linked to the respondents to a questionnaire and store this information separate from the questionnaire. The personal details of the survey respondents should be kept confidential from those who are not the part of the survey building. Also, performing the statistical tabulations so that no individual respondents go unnoticed. The respondents should be well informed regarding the purpose of the survey and should have the option of not disclosing the information one is not comfortable to share with the people or the researcher. For example, respondents may not feel comfortable in disclosing their income. But in order to solve this problem, one makes the use of categories such as rupees 1500 to rupees 2000, which may be less interfering, or knowing about what kind of questions respondents are feeling shy to answer it. This helps to reduce the rate of non-responsiveness towards the questions. The question should not be framed to cheat the respondents. The constituents of survey is improved if the respondents clearly understand the objective behind the study. Dear friends, let us now summarize the whole module. Survey means to scrutinize in an exhaustive manner. These are of many types such as personal, telephonic, mail, as well as online questionnaires. These can be divided into two categories, namely self-administered and investigator-administered method. It is a method of obtaining information from the whole universe by making the use of various sampling techniques. These are basically economical as well as authentic means of obtaining information from a large association of people. To examine one's opinions, attitudes and perceptions of respondents, survey is the most desired means of collecting data. The integrity and confidentiality of the data supplied by the respondents need to be maintained. Various professional organizations dealing with the survey methods have to follow certain code of ethics maintaining the survey integrity. Thank you.